Hey guys, hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be doing something a little bit different, and we are going to be flipping some things that I got from the op shop. So I guess you could call it a thrift flip. Well, hopefully that's what's going to happen if I can actually pull this off. But I went to the op shop a few days ago, maybe like a week ago now, and I got a couple of items, like some men's shirts that I wanted to transform into, one into a top and the other into a dress. So I got these two men's shirts. So I got like this blue shirt, which I kind of wanted to turn into a dress, but now I'm not sure because it wasn't quite the right size that I was hoping for. I wanted it to be a little bit bigger. And I wanted to make this one into a dress, but yeah, I'm not sure because it is quite short on me, but we'll see. And then I managed to get this shirt as well, which is like a 3XL or something. But this is the pattern I wanted to use for the top, but this would be a better size for the dress, but it wouldn't look good as the dress. So I think I'm going to do this one as the top, and then we'll decide what to do with that other one later. Well, that's if this one even turns out. But what I'm planning on doing, as you can see, it is really big on me, but I'm basically going to make it into a long sleeved puffy kind of sleeve, like crop, but we'll see how that turns out. So this shirt was $5, such a bargain. It's a really good quality actually. And with the leftover fabric, we'll either make a skirt or, I don't know, we'll figure something else out with the scraps. But I might do that in a later video. So what we're going to do first, before we even get started, is take some of our measurements. So we're going to want to know what our bust measurement is. And I also want to know like what my back measurement is, because obviously this is a really big shirt, so we're going to be cutting it in half at the back and taking the back in. So I want to know what my half back measurement is. So I'm going to kind of work with that. So when you get a half back, you take 1 point of the tape measure to just like kind of under your armpit, like halfway. And hello Brooklyn, her little head's poking through. You can come in. There you go. I had the door open for a little bit because I was expecting a delivery today. And this little one's like such a creep. She's like sticking her little head through. Anyway, so you want to take 1 point of the tape measure halfway around your back, so under your armpit, and then same on the other side. And so we're at about 42 centimeters, give or take. And then we're going to take that in half. So we're working in centimeters. Anyway, you'll see the measurements later. What we're going to need for this is a pair of scissors, a dressmaker's pencil or texter or something that's going to wash off this fabric. You can also use like a grey lead pencil. I used to use that until I got these. You're going to need a tape measure, a ruler. We're also going to need some elastic for this if you want to do like the puffy sleeves. So I have two different types here. They're the same, but just different colors. They're very stretchy and really thin, perfect to make puffy sleeves. You're also going to need a quick unpick and some pins possibly. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is, my shirt has 2 pockets, so we're going to take both those pockets off. If your shirt doesn't have any, then don't worry about it, skip this part. Or yeah, just make sure you're really careful when you're taking the pockets off so you don't create any holes. So what I've just done here is I've laid my shirt out, and we're just going to very carefully take these pockets off using our quick unpick. Okay, so I've taken off both pockets now. I'm going to keep these because I was actually thinking, I don't know if this is a crazy idea and I'm still going to think about it, but I have like this really thick black fabric, and I was thinking I could almost make the bottom part of this that I don't use into a two-toned skirt using some of the black fabric as well, and then I could put a pocket on the back. So it would kind of be like a crossover kind of skirt. I don't know, I can see it in my mind, but I don't know if it would actually look good. Anyway, so we're going to keep these pockets because we may use them for something else. So from the side seam underneath the armpit, we're going to do 1.5 inches, and then just make like a little mark. Do that on both sides. Okay, so 1.5 inches from here, and then we're going to go up around here, and we're going to do 1 inch all the way along to meet this line. And then we're going to cut this out. This line that we make here, this curve, we're going to cut that out, but you're going to save this part. Don't cut this part here where you've just marked your 1.5 inches. So I'm not sure if you can see it. It is kind of hard to see looking through the camera, but we've just done a pink curve all the way around to meet our 1.5 inch gap. So remember, you're not cutting this. Okay, so it's later on in the day. I ended up stopping for lunch and I got my delivery, and then I was just chilling out for a while, and then I was like, oh, I'm going out tomorrow night, so I need to tan. So I have tan on, hence why I'm in my pajamas, and yeah. Anyway, so what I ended up doing, I flipped the sleeve inside out, and I actually took the sleeve in about 2 centimeters. Just because this shirt is so big, I wanted the sleeve to be a bit thin. Like, it's still going to be like quite like big on me, but it's going to be a lot better this size. So that's what I'm going to do on this other sleeve. So I'm just doing straight stitch. You could use zigzag if you wanted to, or if you had a serger or an overlocker, whatever you want to call it, by all means use that. But we are just doing straight stitch. Okay, so now that I've taken in the sleeves, the next step is, we're still working on the sleeves, so the next step is to get your tape measure, and we're going to do 1.5 centimeters or about 1 inch. I think that's the equivalent. And you're going to go from the seam line down, and you're going to pop a pin, and then we're just going to do a straight stitch to the original seam here that's going around the sleeve, and then we're going to fold it in, but I'll show you. So we're going to do a straight stitch across here just to kind of give like a puckering effect. So when you open this up after you've done your stitch, you should have like a puff here, like a puckering effect, so that when we go to put the elastic in, it will give the nice puffy shoulders. What you want to do now is you just want to make a little casing for your elastic. So our elastic is pretty thin, so this seam is going to be about 1.5 centimeters. So what I'm doing is I'm just folding over twice, so tucking in the raw edge and then folding a bigger seam. So a small one for the raw edge and then a bigger one for the casing. So the elastic is going to thread through here. What we're going to do now is take a piece of elastic. I've measured mine out to about 25.5 centimeters, 25.5. You're just going to pop a safety pin in there, and then we're going to thread it through the holes that we just made. So find your end piece and then thread it through. Now that we have both pieces of elastic through, we're just going to do a little straight stitch down to hold it in place on all of the sides so that it doesn't move. Okay, so so hopefully you can see what I'm doing, but basically what we're doing is from one sleeve to the other sleeve, we're just going to go straight across and cut the top part of this shirt off. Okay, so we're going to use the buttons later, so don't get rid of them. Now your shirt should be open like this. Okay, so this next part depends on how long you want the shirt. So you're just going to measure from like the top of your bust down to where you want the shirt to kind of sit, remembering to leave seam allowance for the top and the bottom. So I'm going to do mine at about 28 centimeters, and that's how much we're going to mark off on our shirt, and then we're going to cut that line as well. Okay, so what I've done now is just measured from this top point down to here to kind of make it like a V scoop neck kind of thing. So I did about 10 centimeters. You can kind of just gauge what you would prefer. So obviously the more you go down, the less fabric you're going to have here. Yeah, so I've pinned that into place. Now we're going to move on to the back. So I'm just pinching the front pieces together just for a second so we can get to the back. And because I already took my back measurements earlier, we know that it's about 44 centimeters. I think it was like 43, but we're going to round up to 44 centimeters. And then what we're going to do is, what did I do with my tape measure? Oh, behind me. Then what we're going to do is measure from the side seam, and you want half your measurement. So mine was 44, so we're going to do 42 centimeters. And then we're just going to make a mark there. And then we're just going to cut off the excess on the back. Now remember, when you cut this, you need to allow for a seam, so just add a centimeter or so. Okay, so your shirt should now be in 2 halves. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to put the right sides together at the back. And we're just going to pin and make like a little seam. I have gotten changed again, but it's just because I needed to try on this shirt. So what we're going to do now is hem the back. So I'm just going to make a tiny little snippet on each corner here, just so that we can hem the back nicely. And then we're just going to do a double roll. Okay, so I have the top seam for the back all pinned in, so we're just going to do a straight stitch across there, and we're also going to join our sleeve at the back so that there's no rough edges, and then we're going to try it on and measure out the front. It's still a little bit big, but we will have buttons there as well. And obviously it's too long, so we're going to take that in a little bit. And I'm just going to make my scoop a little bit more scooped. Just going to kind of mark how tight I would actually want it. So when we put on the buttons, we know kind of how far in we have to go. What we're going to do now is attach the buttons back on. So what we're going to do is the one with the actual buttons on it is going to be on the right hand side, and the buttonhole is going to be on the left hand side. So we want to place the button on first and then line up the buttonholes. So what I'm going to do here is, I know I want this near the top, so you want to face the buttons down to the shirt so that they're this way, and then you're just going to pin along here. So I'm just going to kind of pin this about 1 centimeter from the top. And kind of see what that will look like. Just kind of, okay, I might bring it down slightly. So it's about there. And then we're just going to pin it in place. So what it should be looking like now is like this if we fold it back this way. And I've also pinned the bottom hem and the V shape or the curve for the top, but I haven't sewn it yet. So what I've just done here is I've unraveled this a little bit, because when we sew the buttons in place, we're going to fold this down and then sew across so that there's a nice even flat seam, and it's going to be the same down the bottom here. So once you cut off your excess, you're going to roll it all into the seam so it's nice and clean. So once you're happy with that placement, what you want to do is you want to take the buttonhole side and you want to place the buttons in line with each other. So what I'm going to do here is just do up one button. So you want to line it up like this and then pin it into place like we just did on the other side. Okay, once you've got both the buttons and the buttonholes lined up and attached with pins, we're going to sew them. If you want to, you could try this on before you sewed to make sure that it was exactly lined up, but we're just going to do a straight stitch on either side. I'm also going to do the hem. Okay, so the very last thing I'm doing now is this little V-neck kind of thing. So I've already done one side, so I'm just making sure that these still match up. So we've got the right angle, the buttons are still in the same place, so the buttons should fit over each other like that. And yeah, we've got the right angle, so we're good to go. So we're just gonna do a little straight stitch across here. The top then, and it's a little bit loose. So what I've just done is added in a little dart at the front. So this is the front, and yeah, I've just added in a small dart here, and I'm just doing the same on the other side. So all you do for a dart is a very basic explanation. I'm sure you can find better videos on it, but basically you decide where you want the dart. You pinch up the fabric that you need and then pop a little pin in, and then you just go in on an angle, and it should create kind of like a little fold in the shirt. And so you want the widest part to be down the bottom towards the seam and then come in on an angle up towards the top of the shirt, and hopefully it fits a bit better. Okay, so this is what the top looks like. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It probably would have been a lot easier if it wasn't as big, like it was an extra large, or maybe even 3XL, I can't even remember now. But for my size body, it probably would have been easier if this was just a medium or a large. Probably a large actually, because I could have cut it a bit more, and I wouldn't have had to have taken it in places like putting in these extra darts and things like that. But I am really happy with how this turned out. What do you guys think? And yeah, it wouldn't have been as puffy on the sleeves if it was a little bit smaller. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. Anyway, if you liked this video and you want to see more like it, don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. It really helps support my channel, and it also lets me know the kinds of videos you guys like to see. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next one.